Good morning, afternoon, friends, whenever you're watching this video. And we're just going to jump right in and talk about probably a little bit of a heavy topic, but it's so important because understanding what we're doing and why we do it with food and care can help us eliminate a ton of frustration and a ton of time kind of spinning our wheels, on this journey. So my name is Tracy Brown. I'm a trauma-informed, non-diet, eating disorder, nutrition expert, and my goal with this video today is to help you have some clarity and insight and maybe some strategies to be able to feel more self-compassion and to make some meaning and some sense of maybe some long-standing struggles with food. So let's get started. One of the most common things I see in my work personally, and this is why I'm doing this because this is just something I never hear talked about, maybe behind closed doors, but I think that those of us who may have been in and out of care and treatment or have never, crossed that threshold of like, look, I can't do this by myself anymore, or I think I know what I'm doing, but there's still a lot of struggles, and sometimes we kind of minimize them. That it's not that big a deal anymore. And I see that happen with a lot of people who, especially who have done some recovery work. They maybe seen kind of some kind of professional, maybe they haven't. Maybe they've spent most of their work with, just self-help in any kind of way. And there's this level of like when we yield, sometimes we recognize like, wow, like I don't feel that great, or like, wow, the January predictive programming around I gotta lose weight to be healthy has like spinning in my head again. And then you're like, why am I thinking this stuff? I know better. Or, you know, um, like things kind of get better and then they kind of like get worse and then we get upset and then we try to like um, do some efforts to have things be smooth again. What I often notice, that's something called a nourishment barrier, where we have a really hard time being consistent with normative eating, getting our groceries, consistently moving. And what that means is when things are going good, sometimes when things are starting to go good and we start to feel better, we might likely in our background have some kind of wound around when things get better, the shoe drops and things get bad again. So it's almost like we just don't trust care. So, for example, I'll give you a really clear example of this is that you may be feeling like you're doing better, like there's no binging, there's no like the house is on fire restriction going on, but you find yourself still waking up feeling overwhelmed by like just life stressors. And it feels like, it's not congruent with the way you want to live or the stressor. Um, you can even notice in your mind like this stressor isn't a big deal, but like I can't feel my hunger signals. I'm really revved up. I haven't slowed down all day, and it's 2 o'clock, and I barely ate today. And ugh, I know that's not a good idea. I know that's not a good idea that it's been this long, but I haven't been able to feel myself. And so if that's an autopilot way you live, for sure, you definitely have a nourishment barrier. And there's this excuse me, I'll call it like a intimacy slash um, issue with vulnerability. Like, oh, when I finally start to feel better or I get my needs met, that's actually what triggers me is when I recognize I have a need, and my relationship with having needs and having care kind of puts me in this like almost feels like it puts me in this corner where it's like I want to get my needs met, but my relationship with getting needs met sometimes that I get disappointed. So we just kind of slowly act as if it's not that necessary, or oh, I'm pretty recovered. It's not as bad as it used to be, so I'm pretty okay. That's a nourishment barrier. It means we really don't have a settled, safe relationship with like getting our needs met. It's just still a struggle, even though maybe restricting or binging or any kind of other self-harm or compulsive exercise or compulsive working, it's like you're kind of aware of it, but it still kind of runs in the background a little bit when we hop out of our window of tolerance, or we fly out, or we fall out and down. And so this video, I know it's kind of complex and it's a little nuanced around the idea that when we're not consistent with our care and we get sidetracked, it just means that we have a tricky relationship with care and with nourishment and getting our needs met. And that's because there's a wound around that. That's all that is. So I say all that just to remind you to have some self-compassion for if you grew up or had any kind of circumstances where your needs were um, gaslit, minimized, just not met, criticized, you're going to struggle with your reach and taking in consistently. And to deal with that, we might not have much of a yield, which is I really have a hard time slowing down or staying present to the reality that, like, I'm a human being. I'm going to need consistent eating, probably 3 to 6 times a day. I'm going to need enough sleep. I'm going to need support when, maybe certain things I need to do in life are just above my knowledge level or capacity or time constraints. And then if we have a hard time with that, like consistent basic level of needs, and we kind of do it for a while and then we do it for 2 or 3 days and then it falls off the cliff, that means that we really need to work on our yield and some of our nourishment barriers. And yield is just like being willing to slow down, to feel the feelings, to get clear about why we like what it feels like inside to reach and get our, get in, reach for and take in what we know we need. When we can't do that, we know that we're struggling with fear. Fear of like, if I don't do everything myself, I'll get hurt. Or fear and shame of the fact that as human beings, we are wired to connect. And so we're going to have needs and we're going to have needs from other people sometimes. And it doesn't mean that as adults that we're needy. It just means that sometimes we are interdependent on others. Um, and we just don't have experience with that feels safe. So anyway, I would love for everyone to take like some time today to maybe re-watch this video, pen and paper, do a little mini assessment on where in my day or what triggers me in general to make me, it feels like it's this autopilot thing. I lose track of my needs. I kind of minimize that recovery is all that important. I have many, many people sometimes that like we're going along, we're doing stuff, and all of a sudden it's like boom, there's this amnesia that they are even in recovery. And other things have become the priority when really it's not true that your needs are always going to be a priority. It doesn't mean that you can't meet your needs and be in service to others. It just means that it's only like it feels like if any nothing else is going on, then it's okay to meet our needs. And we want to start to work on growing our capacity for all that to fit. So I think that's this video today. I just want to like, if food doesn't feel like, if you don't feel like at this point that you don't meet your food needs, and maybe you don't meet your needs in other ways like sleep, rest, um, delegating things in your household, whatever it is, that's still a nourishment barrier. And you're going to feel like you're trying to like do everything and control everything. And that's still basically fear of vulnerability, fear of getting hurt, those kind of things. So do a little mini assessment on yourself. If you discover some like, oh, I think you're right, put it in the comments below. I'm happy to help steer you in the right direction, whether it's more of a therapy issue or nutrition therapy issue, nervous system health regulation, what your needs are to address that. I'm here to help you steer in the right direction. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for like, overlooking the dog noise in the background. I hope you're doing really well. If you need more support, there's a link below you can also click as well. And we are here to assess what you need and get you in the right direction. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.